4. So inconsistent is human nature, especially in the ideal, that not to undertake a thing at all seems better than to undertake and come short. The longest way must have its close, the gloomiest night will wear on to a morning. Most mothers are instinctive philosophers. It's a matter of taking the side of the weak against the strong, something the best people have always done. When you get into a tight place and everything goes against you until it seems that you cannot hold on for a minute longer, never give up then, for that is just the place and time when the tide will turn. To be really great in little things, to be truly noble and heroic in the insipid details of everyday life, is a virtue so rare as to be worthy of canonization. I would not attack the faith of a heathen without being sure I had a better one to put in its place. So much has been said and sung of beautiful young girls, why doesn't somebody wake up to the beauty of old women? And, perhaps, among us may be found generous spirits, who do not estimate honor and justice by dollars and cents. Everything your money can buy, given with a cold, averted face, is not worth one honest tear shed in real sympathy. There's a way you political folks have of coming round and round a plain right thing. Still waters run deepest, they used to tell me. No one is so thoroughly superstitious as the godless man. The bitterest tears shed over graves are for words left unsaid and deeds left undone. If women want any rights they had better take them, and say nothing about it. What makes saintliness in my view, as distinguished from ordinary goodness, is a certain quality of magnanimity and greatness of soul that brings life within the circle of the heroic. The longest day must have its close, the gloomiest night will wear on to a morning. Any mind that is capable of real sorrow is capable of good. When a man can walk up to the ballot box with his wife or sister on his arm, the voting places will be far more agreeable than now. There is more done with pens than with swords. Half the misery in the world comes of want of courage to speak and to hear the truth plainly and in a spirit of love. The greater the interest involved in a truth, the more careful, self-distrustful, and patient should be the inquiry. The obstinacy of cleverness and reason is nothing to the obstinacy of folly and inanity. To do common things perfectly is far better worth our endeavor than to do uncommon things respectably. Common sense is seeing things as they are, and doing things as they ought to be. People who hate trouble generally get a good deal of it. Never trust to prayer without using every means in your power, and never use the means without trusting in prayer. Harriet Elizabeth Beecher Stowe, June 14, 1811 to July 1, 1896, was an American author and abolitionist. She came from the religious Beecher family and became best known for her novel Uncle Tom's Cabin, 1852, which depicts the harsh conditions experienced by enslaved African Americans. The book reached an audience of millions as a novel and play, and became influential in the United States and in Great Britain, energizing anti-slavery forces in the American North, while provoking widespread anger in the South. Stowe wrote 30 books, including novels, 3 travel memoirs, and collections of articles and letters. She was influential both for her writings and for her public stances and debates on social issues of the day. Harriet Elizabeth Beecher was born in Litchfield, Connecticut on June 14, 1811. She was the 6th of 11 children born to outspoken Calvinist preacher Lyman Beecher. Her mother was his first wife, Roxana Foote, a deeply religious woman who died when Stowe was only 5 years old. Roxana's maternal grandfather was General Andrew Ward of the Revolutionary War. Harriet's siblings included a sister, Catherine Beecher, who became an educator and author, as well as brothers who became ministers, including Henry Ward Beecher, who became a famous preacher and abolitionist, Charles Beecher, and Edward Beecher. In 1868, Stowe became one of the first editors of Hearth and Home magazine, one of several new publications appealing to women. She departed after a year. Stowe campaigned for the expansion of married women's rights. After her return to Connecticut, Mrs. Stowe was among the founders of the Hartford Art School, which later became part of the University of Hartford. Following the death of her husband, Calvin Stowe, in 1886, Harriet started rapidly to decline in health. By 1888, The Washington Post reported that as a result of dementia the 77-year-old Stowe started writing Uncle Tom's Cabin over again. She imagined that she was engaged in the original composition, and for several hours every day she industriously used pen and paper, inscribing passages of the book almost exactly word for word. This was done unconsciously from memory, the author imagining that she composed the matter as she went along. To her diseased mind the story was brand new, and she frequently exhausted herself with labor which she regarded as freshly created. Modern researchers now speculate that at the end of her life she was suffering from Alzheimer's disease. Harriet Beecher Stowe died on July 1, 1896, in Hartford, Connecticut, 17 days after her 85th birthday. She is buried in the historic cemetery at Phillips Academy in Andover, Massachusetts, along with her husband and their son Henry Ellis.